Hey all, welcome to ShareTrek. This is Raj here. Friends, as you can see behind me, I have a new display out there. I've been waiting to get this in place for quite a while. I'm in my new studio, and behind me you see some Star Trek memorabilia that they were gifted to me by Sandeep for my birthday. So thanks Sandeep a lot. So that's about it. And with that said, I think I'd like to get started with today's end of the week Genomics review. We're going to look at all the genomic stocks in our watch list. I'm going to go through each one of them, look at their price chart, and give you my feedback on where they're likely to go. With that said, let's get started. Well, let's start off with the S&P 500. S&P 500 seems to be on a bull channel. It's creating new higher highs and higher lows, and it's also crossed one of these big diagonal lines of resistance, which has now become a support for it. And therefore, one would believe that we are into a bull channel. That's what the tech says. But if I look at the actual situation in the economy, the geopolitical situation, the tariff related situation, the disruption of the supply chain, and the potential recession, I don't feel that it warrants a bullish run. Even if the Fed was to cut interest rates, it would be doing so to avert recession, avert job losses that are being created by the tariffs. That's not a reason to celebrate and go bullish. At least that's my personal opinion. And on this point, I want each and every one of you to just put in the comment section what you think. Even if you differ from my assessment, that's great. I want to understand all the possible views. I want to run it by my own thought process and see if I can change my opinion. So please do that. And then if you look at NASDAQ, I think before I go, I think this could potentially be a bull trap. That's what I'm trying to say. If you look at NASDAQ, the story is the same. The second half was just a small candle, because these are all 4-hour charts that I'm showing you here for NASDAQ futures. You will see that the second half was a small candle out here. And then if you look at QQQ, same story for QQQ also. It's poised at a very critical resistance out here, so it could be pushed down from this. That's a very big possibility out there. Now let me take you into Genomics. And if you look at Genomics, let us start off with Prime. So when I check out Prime, I can see this reverse head and shoulder pattern out here, and we could definitely plot a target, but I don't think this reverse head and shoulder has yet been triggered. So we have to wait for it to trigger, and then we'll be able to say that we can have a target out here. So I'm going to watch this carefully. And the other thing that worries me is that in case of a reverse head and shoulder, the second shoulder that is being formed should have heavy volumes. That's not happening in this case. Therefore, there's a very good chance that this will fizzle out and may not end up being a reverse head and shoulder. Now, if you look at Intelia, we can see that Intelia is back below this horizontal line of resistance, and the horizontal line of resistance is at around 8.98. So that's where 8.97 is where that horizontal line of resistance is, and we are at 8.84, just slightly below it. Now if I try to see if there are any clues on this chart, I would say that this rounding up from below is a very good development. It means that there is a lot of buildup going on, and there's a foundation that has been built, and we have started having increasing higher highs and higher lows. So some kind of a bull channel is being created here. I'm saying that a bull channel is being created here because we have broken out of this diagonal line of resistance. So that's my basis for saying so. And that bull channel, if it is true, would also break through this horizontal line of resistance at 8.97. And that should potentially happen tomorrow. On Monday when the market opens. And if that happens, then I think that lays the foundation for further movement upwards. We had drawn a reverse head and shoulder out here, which was met, and we fell further below that, and then we have picked up from there. So this reverse head and shoulder has been implemented, done, and over. Now we are starting with a clean slate. Momentum is also pretty good. MACD is also bullish, so I'm hoping Intelia does better. And then we have the earnings coming up on 8th of May 2025. So that's also going to be a possible catalyst out there, because we can get to know more about the data of Intelia's various therapies, and that could be a positive catalyst. Next, I want to go into Caribou Biosciences. Again, in Caribou Biosciences, I am seeing that we have created higher highs and higher lows. and I think that's something which is positive. But if you look at the overall context out here, we still have a resistance that we need to break out of, and we have been pushed below that, and I would say that that resistance is around 0.9085, and we have been pushed down below it. Once we break through above that, then we have this diagonal line of resistance, which is a challenge for us. On Monday, this will be at 0.956. So we'll have to see how we manage to negotiate this. But I am feeling a bit optimistic about Caribou Biosciences out here, because MACD is bullish, momentum is also above average, and the overall market has been bullish. But once the overall market turns, Caribou would be a dangerous place to be in, because it could sink like crazy, because the stock is below $1, and it's looking pretty weak otherwise. Now let's look at Beam Therapeutics, and in case of Caribou, before I go, I also want to say that HC Wainwright analyst Robert Burns has lowered Caribou's price target to $3 from $9, but they have kept a buy rating. But at around 88 cents, I think we are a very far cry from $3, and there was some litigation also against class action against Caribou. So we have to watch all of those things, and I would rather wait and see what happens with Caribou than rush into it right now, because there's a lot of uncertainties out here. And next, let's go and have a look at Beam Therapeutics. Beam Therapeutics has created some kind of a cup and handle in my opinion, but still have not triggered the cup and handle. And next, let us look at Beam Therapeutics. We had a double bottom for which I had drawn a target of around 19.35. We have met and exceeded that target. Then we had a gap up and we came down, and we have completed the gap fill as well. And now our next resistance is at 21.31. So I think Beam is positioning itself nicely to be able to go up further. MACD is also bullish, but it's tending towards the signal line. Momentum is above average. But remember, all of this is because the overall market is buoyant. If the overall market turns around, then all these stocks can come down very quickly. Next, we have Altimmune. And in case of Altimmune, I have a few things to say before I do the analysis. Pfizer recently threw in the towel on one of its experimental anti-obesity pill. It was called danuglipron, and it had to do that because of safety concerns. Pfizer still has another obesity drug, PF079616, and it may want to see how that performs. I think that Pfizer might have an eye on Altimmune for pemvidutide in case that PF079616 does not show that good of data. And Pfizer might want to have its footprint in the lucrative area of obesity reduction. I'm thinking that's one possibility. I would like to hear from those of you who are actually following Altimmune and Pfizer to give some comments and give me your perspective. Is it possible that Pfizer might think of taking over Altimmune? And will Altimmune be willing to be taken over? Can you please put your comments so that I can have your opinion on that? That said, I think we have a cup and handle formation, and the cup and handle, in my opinion, was not triggered because we didn't go below and come up on the neckline, but still we are somehow moving towards our cup and handle target of 6.22, and we have a resistance also at 6.22. So we'll have to watch what happens in this space. We have already become overbought, and MACD is super bullish, so there is going to be some kind of cooling and consolidation. Out here, I want to remark about this candle that we see here. Give me 1 second, let me recalibrate the chart. As you can see here, this candle. Now, this shows seller exhaustion. Sellers were trying to push the price down in the second half of the day, but the buyers managed to bring it back up again and make it close, just very close to the first 4 hours. So overall, it was a bullish day for Altimmune. So that's another big positive for Altimmune at this point of time. So I'm thinking that we are more or less likely to meet our target, which is going to be of around 6.24 for Altimmune. I'm looking forward to that, but there might be a little bit of a setback for a short while because RSI is overbought, and it could probably consolidate a little bit and then move upwards, maybe a few days. And we also have the earnings coming up, and that's going to be on 8th of May 2025. So that could also be the extra catalyst that we need that can help us to break above 6.22. That said, let's look at Verve Therapeutics. Now, Verve also is forming a similar kind of a pattern out here. It formed a cup and handle pattern, but I think it's continuing to fall down. And Verve Therapeutics has generated evidence that its PCSK9 pivot would pay off. And 1 year after dropping a base editing candidate over safety signal, I think Verve has shown its Eli Lilly partnered successor can achieve similar cholesterol reduction without raising any red flags. With solid data, Verve plans to dose first patient in a phase 2 trial of Verve 102 in the second half of 2025. And the phase 1b study is continuing to enroll patients in UK, Canada, Israel, Australia, and New Zealand. Whereas Verve expects to include US sites in the phase 2. The FDA recently cleared Verve to study the candidate in the US. This could probably tempt Eli Lilly to opt in on this program, the PCSK9 program, and that could create another positive catalyst for Verve. And now we have to see when that happens, because big pharma may suddenly decide to announce. There is also another possibility. We have this shoulder out here, we have the head out here. If this turns around and becomes another shoulder, and if we have increasing volumes out here, then we could see a reverse head and shoulder pattern. That could happen even with a single candle. So watch out for the earnings, which is going to be on 7th of May 2025. Maybe we get some positive catalyst out there that can push us into an aggressive gear. That said, let's look at Editas. Editas has got a MACD which is actually just about crossed over the signal line and become bearish, but the momentum is very high, and we have earnings coming up on 5th of May. So let us look at the earnings, let the earnings come out, we see what happens, because at this point of time, it's very risky to get into these stocks, especially because the overall stock market itself is in a very precarious position, and if it falls, it could fall very sharply in my opinion. And if that happens to the stock market, then all these genomic stocks are going to fall very sharply. So one has to be very careful while looking at companies like Editas. Next, let us look at Illumina. Illumina has been moving in this narrow range, which is bounded on the top by 80.77 and on the bottom by 74.25 for quite a long period of time, more than a couple of weeks, I would say. And therefore, the question is, what is going to happen with Illumina? So I would like to offer some insights from my perspective. I think some of the latest news that I have seen are really optimistic. For example, Illumina and Ovation.io have launched a multi-year collaboration to create the largest open access data set linking clinical and multi-omic data for 25,000 patients treated with GLP-1 receptor agonists like Ozempic and Wegovy. These drugs are widely used for type 2 diabetes and obesity, but about 40% of the patients respond poorly to these GLP-1 receptor agonists. So the goal of this partnership between Illumina and Ovation.io is to understand why some patients don't respond to GLP-1 drugs, and they want to accelerate drug development and discover biomarkers and new targets to handle this condition, and they want to expand potential uses of GLP-1 therapies to other diseases. So the key technical details of this venture is that they have looked at 25,000 whole genome sequences using Illumina's NSG platform. They have 5,000 samples undergo proteomics profiling using Illumina's protein prep before and after treatment to discover protein quantitative trait loci, and the data processing with Illumina's Dragon and connected multi-omics platform was used for this purpose. Storage and future access will be via Illumina connected analytics, so they are tied in the hip in this venture. And Ovation's role is to provide samples from a biobank of 1.7 million patients with detailed clinical data, and they have to tokenize and de-identify it and then supply it to Illumina. And the significance is that first time this scale of genomic plus proteomic plus clinical data is made publicly accessible for GLP-1 research, and it aims to help pharma companies personalize therapies and minimize side effects. And there is another news item also, which happened a couple of weeks ago, which was the context of that news item was precision medicine using genomic and molecular tests to match patients to the right therapy is now becoming common in cancer care, but rare in other fields like cardiology or neurology, where treatments are still chosen based mainly on symptoms and lab results. So the problem that this venture is trying to solve is for patients who are often getting ineffective drugs in the first instance, because of which it causes delays to their recovery and also creates side effects, will have to be given some kind of an alternative solution. That's what Illumina is trying to tackle. Precision medicine outside of oncology is still underdeveloped despite potential to improve outcomes. And this is where Illumina is collaborating with Tempus AI, and they are partnering to expand precision medicine beyond oncology into areas like cardiology, neurology, immunology, pediatrics, rare diseases, and women's reproductive health. And Tempus acquired Ambry Genetics for $600 million to gain expertise and testing capacity beyond cancer. And Tempus finds that with these new assets in its hand, it would be really worthwhile to partner with Illumina. And Illumina finds a lot of value in this proposition. CEO Eric Lefkowski of Tempus argued that healthcare is moving slowly, but oncology success will drive demand for precision tools in other specialties. And the strategy is to use Illumina's sequencing and Tempus's multimodal datasets to create evidence packages. These will help standardize and prove the value of genomic profiling across more diseases. And that in turn will convince payers, providers, and regulators to adopt precision medicine more widely rather than just for oncology. And according to Eric Lefkowski, CEO of Tempus, this is the very tip of the iceberg. Once precision medicine becomes routine in oncology, people will demand it in other diseases. Based on this, we have this partnership. Now, these are the last two news articles that I saw in almost, let us say, 15 to 20 days. That gives me an idea that Illumina is moving very rapidly to increase the value and its IP, and it's also getting more industry partnership and getting more AI into its business, which is again important to command a premium in this market going forward. And we also have a double bottom out here, which could give us a target. So I'm looking at all of these. Of course, we always do end of day genomics review. So on Monday, when we come to the end of day genomics review, I would have a video out with specific analysis. But right now, I'm thinking that Illumina chart is looking pretty good. We also have their earnings coming up very soon. It's going to be on the 8th of May 2025 after hours. And they are very particular about releasing the earnings as projected, unlike the other genomic companies in our watch list. So this is quite reliable. We'll see how they perform and if they give us any forward-looking statements, which can potentially be a catalyst and help us go above 80.91, which is our current resistance. So with that said, let's go and have a look at CRISPR Therapeutics, which is looking very attractive indeed. And there is this minor line of support, which has been helping us stay afloat. And this resistance at 38.80 has been significantly obstructing us for quite a while. MACD is bearish but tending towards the signal line to cross over to the bullish side. Momentum is above average. I think people are waiting for the earnings on the 12th of May 2025 to get more information and see if any catalyst pops up. Closer to the earnings, we'll see options activity and also more activity in CRISPR, and the momentum might pick up further. We'll cross the bridge when we come to it. I can't but help think about CTX 211 for type 1 diabetes and the two oncology targets, which are some things that I'm keeping my eyes on. If we get any positive news about them, it would be amazing. We'll also get revenue figures for Casgevy that will help the analysts to build a base so that their projection of Casgevy revenue going forward can be much more reliable, and that in turn will improve the revenue estimates for CRISPR Therapeutics and make it much more reliable and instead of being so volatile as it is right now. Next, let us look at Allogene. And when it comes to Allogene, it has been performing pretty well on an ongoing basis. We have a beautiful cup and handle pattern which has has already been triggered, and I think it got triggered day before, and we should see some movement going upwards. Let me just draw the cup and handle for you. I'll take it from here. Sorry. So this is the neckline. We came down below this and then we came back up again. So we already triggered it, and our resistance right now is 1.79. But where could this cup and handle take us? So I'm going to draw some lines out here to make it clear where this is going to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick this up from here and put it on top of the neckline. So we are looking at a price target of 1.99, which means a gain of around 29 cents from where we are right now. In percentage terms, it's a big number, but in absolute terms, 29 cents is not much, but that's what we have here. Earnings are due on the 5th of May, as I mentioned. Now let's go on to Grail. Grail is looking good. Grail has earnings coming up on 13th of May 2025, and we have a support at 32.11. We have a gap up which has to be covered. It may or may not be covered very soon. It could take possibly some more time, because right now I'm seeing that the MACD is moving towards the signal line to cross over to the bullish side. Momentum is already high, and then we have earnings coming up. Earnings may or may not throw up any positive catalyst, but we'll have to see how it goes. There isn't much track record for Grail because it's fairly new company and it has very few standalone earnings report that it has published by itself. So we'll see what happens when it publishes the earnings report. PSEB is just about struggling to survive. Earnings is coming up on 8th of May 2025. We'll see what happens at that time. Then ARCG. ARCG, I think ARCG bought a lot of Beam shares recently, and I'll just go to Beam, and it bought Beam shares somewhere around 20th of February, a whole lot. I think it had been buying for a week, and on 20th of February they disclosed that they had bought a lot of Beam shares. Since then the share has gone down, so I'm thinking that it must have hit their portfolio quite a bit. But coming back to where we are with ARCG out here, I'm thinking that we have this resistance at 22.9, and that resistance is going to be quite formidable, because we have not been able to break it for quite a while now from 23rd April onwards, and our minor line of support is 21.86. MACD is bullish, just turned bullish recently. Momentum is also above average, so next week we should see if we get a chance to break above this, and if we did, then that would be great. But I would not get into ARCG at this point of time. For that matter, I wouldn't get into any Genomic shares at this point of time because of the overall risk factor. Vertex has once again dropped below this diagonal line of support, and now this diagonal line of support becomes a diagonal line of resistance. So things are not looking that great overall, but Vertex is still positive. There's a whole lot of consolidation out here. We'll see tomorrow what happens. Earnings are due on the 5th of May 2025, and on Monday we'll see the earnings after hours, and that could potentially be a catalyst. Maybe all of this is because people are waiting for the earnings to come up, look at the numbers. MACD is ready to cross over to the bearish side. So Monday, I think we could probably see either a jump or a drop, depending on what happens during the earnings. Now, Ginkgo Bioworks is up 1.15% on Friday, and it still has these two resistances within which it has been operating for a very long period of time, all the way from 28th of February onwards. It's been in this range and doesn't seem to be able to break out of this range. I don't have much to talk about Ginkgo Bioworks. I have not checked much about it of late. Unicure is another company that has done extremely well. They had a huge jump with news about their therapies, data about their therapies, and it has continued to stay above. And then we have earnings coming up on 13th of May 2025. MACD is a bit bearish, but momentum is pretty high, and I think Unicure, if it comes out with some positive catalyst in its earnings, could probably help us to break through this resistance at around 16.92. So that's what I would be looking forward to. And then let us look at IMTX. IMTX is trying to negotiate this horizontal line of resistance, and it's not been able to break through it for quite a while. I would say that it hasn't been able to break above it from 10th of February onwards. It has made a couple of attempts but has not succeeded. Right now MACD is bullish, momentum is above average, RSI was overbought, it is cooling off a little bit. Once RSI cools off, I am expecting that we are going to be able to break this diagonal line of support, because we have created a bull channel out here. If you see this diagonal line of resistance, we have broken out of it, which means we are creating a new bull channel with higher highs and higher lows. So this was a higher high, this was a higher low, and now this is a new higher high. We are yet to create a new higher low. So when that happens, right, we are looking at a bull channel. So I would like to break through this horizontal line of resistance and see this bull channel continue. That's what I'm looking forward to for IMTX. ABEO is a speculative company that I had bought, and I'm holding it on for it to go to 693, which I think it can definitely do, because I have got resistance at 7.19. So I'm believing on the technicals, which are bullish. I'm holding for it. We also have earnings coming on 8th of May. That's another reason why I'm holding it. So once earnings come in, I think we should be able to see statements from the management regarding the monetization of their new skin therapy, and that could be a potential catalyst. So I'm expecting a little more run up. I don't think this is going to be buy the rumor, sell the news until the earnings are declared. So I want to get out before the earnings are declared, even if I don't reach 6.94 or whatever I have set as my target. So that's what I'm doing with the ABEO. Then we had recognized Precision as one of the companies to watch, because in August they have the PDUFA date. PDUFA date means the date on which FDA will approve the therapy, and they have a cup and handle formation out here. We have already triggered the cup and handle because we went up and came down. So that trigger has already happened. So the cup and handle target out here, in my opinion, will give us a target of roughly around 2.14. Right now it's at 1.57. So 2.14 would be around 55 to 60 cents again, which is very huge considering the price of the share. So it's a huge gain that is likely to happen. Again, this is speculative. I'm just looking at the technicals and giving this. So please do your own due diligence. This is not financial advice, so be careful. So that's all I have for you, my friends. This is a weekend report, and I would like to thank you all for your patience with me as I try to balance my role as an individual retail investor as well as a content creator, sharing my thoughts about these therapies. So thank you very much for being with me. Please do watch some of the features that I have created for our channel, where I'm trying to learn how to make information videos with a lot of B-reels and other things to make it interesting. An example is this video that you see up here. Please go and check it. I put a lot of time to make it. I'm learning the process of creating interesting videos instead of me just speaking to you on the screen. So please check that out and give me some feedback on how I can improve it further. I'm also working on making my pronunciations much more clearer because I have a heavier accent, trying to lose that and make it much more easily understandable for many people. So you'll watch a lot of improvements. I'm putting hard work out here, and thanks for your patience and support. The only thing I would request is that please use the comment section to give me market intelligence that you might have, because that was the sole objective of creating this channel, to share my thoughts as a retail investor and to capture your thoughts so that our entire community can get to see all of this information and all of us can benefit from it. So that's all I ask from you. This channel is not for making money or anything. I'm not going to be selling you anything. All I want is to build a community, and thanks for being in the community. Bye for now.